have with me this afternoon, Jill Banks, who's an MPA ArtFest participant, not just this virtual year, but Jill's been a participant at the MPA ArtFest for, I've lost track, Jill. How many years has it been? Forever. This is
I
our
think
14th.
This is my 13th year.
Okay,
you're on your 14th.
You missed one. You missed one. This is our 14th. We're doing it virtually this year, simply so that we can avoid the weather, because as you know, Jill, we've had a few years where we've had mud seasons, and there was one year when we actually were chased away by a hurricane. So we decided this year to bring it all virtual, which means right now you're dry.
Yeah, that's true. And everyone viewing it is, which is exciting.
Right. There are advantages, and the folks who are watching this right now can pause us at any minute and go dash to your website to see what you've been doing and what you're doing right now, what's available. So there are all kinds of advantages to doing it this way. But Jill, tell us, I know who you are, but who's ever just popped on may not. You're pretty local. When I think of this area, I think of Jill. You're very active in many art societies. The list of awards that you've won goes on and on and on, not just in this area. Tell us more. Were you always a part of Washington?
I've been a part of Washington for a long time. So I went to UVA, and I married someone there that was a Virginian, and he ended up making me a Virginian.
Okay. They're worth things.
Yeah, they are. But been on the art scene for 17 years here in the DC area. Lived here longer, but it's definitely home. And I am your art scene sort of expands as you go along. So as you said, I've won a lot of things locally and been a part of these art societies, but I'm also a signature member of Women Artists of the West and American Women Artists and the Washington Society of Landscape Painters. So one local and a lot of other things that are national. And end up participating in a bunch of things that connect me to artists all around the country.
Your studios, though, are here in the DC area. You have two, correct? One.
So, home studio, which is where you're visiting with me now, and the other is in Great Falls, Virginia. And I share a studio with 10 other artists there, and we've been doing that for quite some time. Kind of moved around a couple of different locations, but always very close to the village center. Right now, we're right down from the Old Brogue Irish pub. So
then I'm sure there's something that's grand about that immersive experience. It must be, otherwise you would just be happily staying entirely at your home.
Yes. So I actually don't like being alone. So it's fun visiting with you today. And during this pandemic or something else, I'm like on Zoom. I'm teaching my classes on Zoom. And I love the company of other people. So it's inspiring to me for my art, but just as my just general enjoyment of life all stems with not being in the woods all by myself. So.
I'm sure you have to have a few minutes quietly in the woods to paint, to actually do the work that you're thinking of, but.
I don't know, so I'm not painting in the woods. I'll paint in a urban environment. That's more common for me, and I love all the interaction. I'm not constant and not right here, but somewhere nearby, and then wandering in and out of the scenes and just becoming a part of the painting process for me.
Well, you actually become part of the scene. I know you're an active participant in many plein air festivals, and for people who don't know. A plein air festival. A plein air is just painting outside, basically, which puts you as an artist right in the middle of things. You have no walls, no shields, nothing to separate you from the innocent passerby who pauses
Yeah,
to make comments on what you're doing.
that's true. So I've had a couple of things that number one is I take a lot of personal painting trips. I mean, I love to travel and to discover something new, and that's really exciting. I've been in these plein air competitions, and there are times during those competitions too that you're timed. Like you
Right.
have an hour and a half to create this painting, or maybe 2 hours. And then I'll have somebody come and try to ask me questions. And that's what my husband's for. You know, it's just like, okay, you have to do this. You know, it's like entertain them or answer the questions. He knows the answers to everything. But just to make it so that it's like, otherwise I don't care. Like, I don't want to have, it's not going to be the most intelligent conversation that I have with them, but I love that people are involved in it. They get excited. So it's a lot of fun.
And you spend a lot of time teaching as well, so there's more to that interactive experience.
Right. So I think my favorite things are connecting with people. So whether it's collectors or my students, and just seeing somebody get immersed in this thing that I love so much, which, I mean, art, I think, is the best thing for everybody. So it's like,
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things as far as a teacher is concerned is I'm teaching people how to see. And that I remember somebody saying that to me when I was learning myself and thinking, well, that's kind of a dumb statement. But it is that I was like, I'll be around artists and like, look at the colors on that wall. You know, I mean, just there is a different perception of the world around you when you're an artist, and you're like, you're examining it. You're paying so much attention to it.
It ignites a whole different part of your brain.
Yeah, it does.
That otherwise might not have been lit up.
Yes, it's very well lit up. But the students are great. I actually just finish up classes and start new ones, but they learn so much, and started teaching on Zoom because of not doing the close contact, and I'm a very close contact kind of person, so I have to have the Zoom to keep me away. But it's people were reluctant to do that at first, but then it's just such a joy to see faces and hear laughter and see what other people are doing in their own homes, and I don't know, kind of sharing that experience with people. It's been great. And
you find that they're learning along the same paths of excitement, if you will? I
think they're learning better. So
really?
That's that. It'll be interesting to go from that to back to in-person classes. I mean, I've had students that have been, I had 3 students in California, and the students from kind of all over the country, as well as my local students that have been with me for a long time. But there are just so many things that you can do. And that's kind of like with the people shopping here or looking at MPAartfest, is that you do have the opportunity to go to a website, see something, and I've been able to work with them in exactly the same way, or very similar, in terms of that I can be right there at their easel, watching them develop painting, annotate, like, so I use the annotation tools to be able to show them what I'm talking about, point out different area, can bring up examples of other people's work, like, so we're on a topic, because I'm always like a very messy desktop. I have to make sure that I share the right thing. So, but
so you're learning all kinds of things too.
I am. Yeah, that's not so easy.
I know.
But
it's fun. It's fun, isn't it? It's challenging, but it's fun.
It is. But you wrap your head around something different. So
you work mostly in oils, right?
Yeah, I work almost completely in oils.
I don't see a lot of that. It must take perseverance. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, it's the best thing in the world. So, and I know that that's a perception that people have in terms of, okay, well, it takes forever to dry, or it does such and such. So almost all of my work is immediate. I'm working wet into wet, and I love that because then I can adjust edges, I can make changes, I can scrape something out. I mean, I would never do like glazing techniques and a little at a time.
You have to stop for a second and explain to those who just popped in what wet into wet means.
Okay, so oil paints, the pigment is suspended in oil, and while I'm painting, like I could paint all day, and I'm painting, 6 hours, 8 hours, or something else. All of the paint that I'm putting on the surface is wet. So if I was working in acrylics, it's all dried up, and I can immediately go over it with another color. I can immediately go over any of those colors, but it just means they're right next to one another. I may need to do a demo for my little, but it's instead of letting it dry. So one of the things that I teach my students is how to keep really clean, beautiful colors, even though you have one color next to another or something else. And so it's using the brush strokes. I go through a million paper towels, but just kind of cleaning off my brush and then applying the next color.
For those who might be looking behind you and seeing some things with color that you refer to, I don't know that many people appreciate just how easily and quickly all of those marvelous colors that are behind you can turn into a blob of mud.
They can, but I've been practicing for a while, so I won't let that happen.
No, I'm just
and like there's solutions to everything. So it's just like, and then we were talking about the plein air. That was something that you are out there painting something that's changing constantly. So the light's changing and people are moving around, and just the weather changes, the clouds come out. I mean, just all sorts of things are changing. And when I first started doing that, where it wasn't in a studio environment and I wasn't controlling that, I had a lot of mud. And it's like not have the brilliant sense of light and shadow. And so it's just like, it just have to keep coming up with new ways to stop that from happening. So like thinking through what you want to have happen and changing around your process so that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I remember my husband and I looking at them thinking, they're not that nice, plein air paintings just aren't that nice, because there's especially with oils, because there was a lot of mud, but you don't have that anymore. So
you're having to come up with a solution every second.
You actually, yes, you do. Yes. So whether it's something's breaking in the field or anything else, but I've gotten really good at figuring out some way around it.
And it shows. I've never seen a dud of yours. So
you never what?
I've never seen a dud. A dud,
I wouldn't bring them to the show. Almost everybody that paints plein air talks about, like, at the beginning, you might have one good one out of 10. And it's like bringing that ratio down. At the beginning, you would be very lucky to have one good one out of 10. I really enjoy the process. I love painting. Like, I don't care that sooner or later I want to have some good paintings, but like, I'm in the middle of it. I don't care.
It's a process.
I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and it no matter what happens, it was a good experience that was out there. One of the things that I've noticed, just like, it used to be really excruciating to pick a scene, like to find the one that you want to paint, the one that you connect with. And sooner or later, I realized that when you first get there to this one, there has to be some reason that you picked it. But when I first set up, it's not as pretty as it ends up getting. Like that scene. Okay, so it's like I have to have faith that there's gonna the special light that is gonna come in there at a certain hour, or something's gonna wander in the scene, and it's gonna make it whole. But when I start, it might be mid-afternoon, okay, like, or maybe 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something else. And I've been painting I'm unusual as far as a plein air painter. Some are really completing and painting much faster than I will do, but I will get set up for that beautiful light or that person to wander in. So I'm painting the buildings or the like structures and things like that. And I'm waiting for it. I'm building up to that point.
It's creativity. I mean, you're creating what may not be there, Jill, whether
in most cases, wonderful things happen. It's just like they don't all happen at the same time, and they don't happen throughout the whole one, but you'll like look up and I was like, oh, that's what I need to capture.
Well, Jill, armed with all of this information and insight, I'm hoping that while we've been talking, who's ever been watching has stopped once or twice and gone to your studio, either the virtual studio that is a part of MPAartfest, or to your own website, or somehow been enriched by what it is that you're offering, and come back to join us again in time for us to say goodbye to one another, because this is all timed and my time is up. So,
well, it's been fun talking with you.
It's fun always, Jill. Thank you again so much for being a part of MPAartfest, and we look forward to you being a part of it for many more years to come. Inside or out, virtually.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.